There are several near-death experience videos on YouTube, and you should check them out. They're very interesting and helpful. It's a gift from God that people can be temporarily dead, can visit the border of heaven and then come back. Or you could say the vestibule of heaven and come back. These NDE videos always say something like, while I was in heaven, when I came out of my body at death and visited heaven, the angels told me, quote, there is no hell, unquote. But these same people admit that there is this thing called a life review, where you see your life again, and you go over your life, you live it again very, very quickly, and you see what you've done, and you judge yourself. You see the positive things you've done, and you recognize the negative things you've done. When you beat up somebody, and then you live that incident over again, this time you're the one that feels the pain when you punch him in the nose or in the mouth. That's what this one dude said on this NDE video about near-death experiences. So on that basis, if Adolf Hitler had a had a life review at the end of his life, he would have felt the pain and the agony of what he put other people through while he was alive. He would feel the pain, the torment of the 6 million Jews that he executed, or he ordered the execution of, plus the 5 million Goyim who died in the death camps. And then there are the Russian soldiers and German soldiers that died fighting the war that Adolf Hitler started. And so I would think that Adolf Hitler's life review would be something that would never end, because he would never get done feeling the pain of all these millions and millions of people that he victimized. For the pain that he caused other people cannot be experienced except over millions of years, or you could say eternity. Eternity. It would take something like eternity for Hitler to suffer for what he did. Suffer enough for what he did. My point here is that there is too a hell for Adolf Hitler types, the monsters of this world. So don't buy what these NDE people say on their videos when they say that the angels claim there is no hell. The angels are simply talking about there is no hell for good people that don't accept Christ. I'm saying that people that love righteousness but don't accept Christ, Christ can interpret their love of righteousness as though it was love for him. Why? Because, like the Bible says, Christ is our righteousness. That's from 1 Corinthians 1 verse 30. So Christ can use that as a way of allowing these lovers of righteousness into heaven. He can claim that they believe in him, or at least the equivalent thereof. Like it says in Genesis 15, verse 6, Abraham was not righteous, but he believed God, and God counted it to him as righteousness. In other words, the equivalent. God can go by the equivalent of something. But how can it be that people that don't accept Christ, how can they go to heaven? The Bible clearly says, Christ clearly says, no one comes to the Father, in other words, no one goes to heaven except through me. Well, like I say, there's two ways to interpret that. A narrow way or a broad way. Now, when Christ was confronted with the case of a woman who was caught in adultery, there are two ways that he could rule, give a verdict in that case. They asked him, "What do you say?" Well, he could have gone by the law of Moses and said, go ahead and stone her to death. He could have simply gone by the letter of the law. But instead, he arranged to interpret the law in such a way that her life was spared. And I'm saying the same thing can be true with his interpretation of his own statement, where he says, no one comes to the Father except through me. He can interpret that so as to include people that love righteousness, and he can count that as though they came through him. And so these people can be found in heaven after they die. Those words about seeing or coming to the Father through Christ, that's from John 14, verse 6. When these near-death experienced people claim that the angels or Christ told them there is no hell, apparently that would mean the biblical description of hell is not literal. The idea is that the flames or fire of hell may not be fire. It can mean flames or fire of anger, or the heat of anger, the rage, the hatred. That this would be what the people that go to hell experience. They experience the rage and the hatred for them that the people that they victimized feel for them. In other words, it may be that when Hitler goes to hell, it would be that God turns his soul, Hitler's soul, over to the souls of the 6 million Jews that he executed, or the 5 million other people that he killed. So that burning anger could take the place of the literal fire, if you see what I'm saying. I'm going to write a transcript of this video, or a summary, in the description box under the video, and so you can refer to that for the Bible passages that I've quoted. And I ask that you make a copy if you want to keep this video. Make a copy on paper so that when EMP occurs and there is no more electricity due to electromagnetic pulse, you'll still have this information on paper. I'm expecting a Russian attack on America, and so EMP will occur, and there will be no grid, no electric grid, for several months, if not a whole year. And then, of course, Christ will come and defeat Russia, reverse Russia's victory. They will be victorious over us. The Russians will take over the world, but they'll only get to rule the world for 5 months. That's from the book of Revelation, chapter 9, verse 5. Very short trip, which is extremely helpful and satisfying to think about. Much better than a 7-year trip, believe me. About the 5-month trip, look up, put in into the search box, quote, Joe Grace, unquote, dash 5-month trib. Hopefully you'll be able to find my video about that. Also, I have a video denouncing or debunking the 7-year trib. I try to give the evidence why a 7-year trib is totally ridiculous, it's totally unrealistic. Shame, shame, shame on these false teachers that they probably have heard several people explain why the 7-year trib is not legit. But these same people, they refuse to open their ears, open their eyes. Okay, thank you for listening and watching this video. And please write a comment if you have anything to say at all. I'd be interested, pro or con.